see sports when they
The Virtual Grip Network and the Bootleg Racing League welcome you to the Super Late Model Series presented by Gargamel's Kitchen as we look to close out Season 17 in style. It's Race 11, and it's at iRacing's virtual Myrtle Beach Speedway here in South Carolina. My name's Justin Prince. Alongside of the booth tonight is Taylor Burris with our producer Trevor Greenfield as we look to close things out at a track that has plenty of history. It's a facility that closed recently in the past couple years, but these drivers look to try and do battle to decide a champion for Season 17 for the Super Late Models. Taylor, the pressure is on and then some, to say the very least, for some of the drivers tonight as they look to execute here at Myrtle Beach.
It certainly is, and good evening, everyone, as we are at the beautiful Myrtle Beach Speedway. And this, of course, is the season finale of Season 17, where we'll get the chance to see a champion crowned. And it's basically going to be down to a 2, maybe 3-horse race for this championship. Kenny Kibbe doing a phenomenal job all season long with the championship lead, and Justin Morton not too far behind to see if he can come out with a championship.
Those two drivers definitely the contenders to watch for. 9 points separating them here tonight. But this is all coming to play at a track that closed a few years ago. We'll get to that in a moment. Here's the look at the points in that differential. The key thing will be, for the case of Justin Morton to win the title, outscore Kibbe by more than 9 spots. Easier said than done, to say the very, very least, since that will require a lot of trouble for the points leader.
It certainly does there, Justin. But you know what? Here at Myrtle Beach Speedway, it can be a very difficult short track to get a hold of. One thing you got to keep in mind is, especially in the corners, those curbings, especially over in turns 1 and 2, one false step on the curbing, and you are going to be going around and possibly into any one of the 2 walls here around this circuit, or collect another driver during that incident. But this beautiful short track in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, has been home to some of the greatest short track events in all of motor racing, and even hosted a home for a couple of the NASCAR Xfinity Series back in the 90s and early 2000s. So a great place to end this season off on a high note in the BRL Super Late Model Series.
Keep in mind, this facility closed from the railroad in 2020. Most recent photos showcase just one portion of the wall remaining just a few weeks ago here at this facility, where many of the events held here moved over to Florence, South Carolina. As the drivers get themselves settled in, you see the times at the top of the board. Currently, James Lowe in final practice in the 18.5s, and 18.5.2 for specifics, with J.R. Shepard, Matthew Thunhorst, Michael Goodman, Jason Menda, top 5 on the board. The interesting note, Kenny Kibbe 11th in practice so far.
Strong performance by Kenny Kibbe as he's trying to work his way up through the field and get a little bit of a better run in the time charts here. But currently, as we look at his lap times with an 18.68, he's just shy of about a 1/10 of a second back from James Lowe and J.R. Shepard. Justin Morton, who's his competitor in this championship, looking through the field, I do not see him. He is not entered into the room, and with only a couple of minutes left to go here in warm-up, Justin Morton has to be here, because if he doesn't show up, then pretty much all Kenny Kibbe has to do is start tonight's race, and he will be crowned a champion.
That will be huge for Kenny Kibbe, a second title in this time slot in the past year and a half or so. As you take a look at practice, a few other champions have been crowned coming into tonight. Friday Night Series champions include William Hargraves in the Dirt Street Stock Series. Street Stock Series in general went to Donnie Moore on the pavement. Then the Classic Cup Series to J.R. Shepard. SK Modifies Donnie Moore. And a few drivers have already started to showcase a bit of new equipment. Lil Jewel, the boss man, at the bottom of the board in practice, yes. He's moved to the direct drive wheel approach. He'll be driving the depth tonight, possibly. As he mentioned before today, nervousness about turning it on.
That direct drive wheel can be a handful to drive, but when you get the hang of it and learn how to handle it, it is an absolute beast and an amazing opportunity to utilize in the sim racing world. And it's going to be interesting to see how he does. And of course, looking forward to seeing JR Shepard, the multiple time, in fact, the winningest championship driver in all of BRL, out there in the field here tonight.
A lot to discuss coming into tonight. Real quick, we want to remind folks that the Gargamel's Kitchen is a food-grade nitrous oxide provider located in Denver, Colorado, who's the proud sponsor of the Bootleg Racing League. Visit our office at 2045 South Vontia Street, or give them a call at 720-707-6178. It's time to give a call over to how things will look for tonight. Remember, top 8 inverted from the previous round in this series, and that means plenty of the hard hitters, once again, get to start in the midst of the Hornet's Nest. 19 drivers making their way out to Myrtle Beach tonight. Justin Morton amongst those not on the entry list, entering the starting grid procedures. On the pole tonight with the invert is Jeffrey Harden. Alongside Kurt Smith, they had a hard battle for that 8th position at one point last time out. Jason Mendes starts in row 2 alongside Brian Dean. In row 3, Kenny Kibbe, but the green flag will clinch the championship. He'll start alongside Austin Belke in the top 6. Donnie Moore had a stellar run last time out for certain portions of the last event. He'll start 7 alongside Joseph Snyder. Top 10, Joe Segala, Michael Goodman.
Todd Liston will be starting in the 11th position, followed by Bruce Pearson in 12th. Lowell Jewell will be starting in 13th, with Matthew Thunhorse starting in the 14th spot. J.R. Shepard will start 15th, with James Lowe 16th. Those two are going to be fun to watch as they climb their way through the field. 17th is Michael Smith, with Adam Shane in 18th. Ryan Seneker rounds out your 19-car field in car number 19.
That's a look top to bottom at tonight's running order here from iRacing's virtual Myrtle Beach Speedway. As talked about for tonight, 100 laps on the docket to close out Season 17 for the Super Late Model Series in the Bootleg Racing League. These drivers racing at the .538 mile facility with 13 degrees of banking in the turns, 4 degrees down the straightaway, and 3 degrees down the backstretch. Your keys to victory to close out Season 17, Taylor.
Well, for our champion, Kenny Kibbe, of course, number one is just to make sure to take the green flag here today. Taking over the green flag here tonight will clinch the championship for Kenny Kibbe in order to be his championship implications for him this season. Another thing also for drivers who want to have a chance to win the race is to make sure to watch out for your tires. 100 laps here, you cannot change tires whatsoever, but this track will definitely eat away at the tires here, especially with this track being so close to the beach and South Carolina being known for its sandy conditions. Finally, watch out for the bumps here in order to be able to make it around this circuit. Turns 1 and 2 will be so critical to watch out for these bumps because they can loop you around very quickly.
All the drivers set to go here at Myrtle Beach. On board with the pole sitter, Jeffrey Harden, as the green flag waves. The final race of Season 17 is underway for Myrtle Beach. And trouble already with Kurt Smith. 3 wide for the battle for third. Back to 2 wide to turn 1 and 2.
Nearly collected Kenny Kibbe as we saw that for Kurt Smith after that major shuffle right there on the opening lap as they head back down to the straightaway, down into turns 3 and 4. And meanwhile, Jeffrey Harden, Jason Menda are going to battle for the race lead.
A great start for Menda to get away from the trouble. Belke already inside the top 4, plus 2 as well for Matthew Thunhorst amongst the Hornet's Nest. Here's a look at the battle for the lead. Harden trying that different line, and we've seen how well the pole sitter ran last time. Menda wants the leader running to the inside.
Taking a look now as they go through the middle of turns 1 and 2. Gets a great runoff corner exit as they work down the back straightaway. Can't make it opening just yet, but Menda really putting a drive on here through here. The Pensacola driver is now putting the pressure on Jeffrey Harden.
Menda picking up a victory earlier this season, possibly in the conversation for a second one. He's been close a couple times since that first victory in the early stages of Season 17. Keep in mind, Brian Dean, Austin Belke amongst those coming over as Lowell Jewell. As you see already, the boss man in the pit lane.
Might have to work a little bit on that direct drive wheel as we see the battle for the race lead between Menda and Harden go through the middle off of corner number 2. Down the back straightaway, Menda clears him as they sail it into turn 3.
New race leader Jason Menda up from the inside of row 2. And looking to try and set sail the difference last time by about half a tenth of a second on the lap chart. Already, keep in mind though, Kibbe to 5th as part of the start is currently about a few tenths behind, with Dean and Belke reeling them in about a 6-car breakaway within about 3 bumpers to each other, 3 car lengths.
Yeah, a lot of great driving between these competitors. You're on board with Belke, who's had a bit of an up and down season here in the BRL Super Late Model Series. He had some couple of great podium finishes, a couple of top 5s, and then some where he DNF'd and not able to get those strong performances, but having a good run here in his final race, running inside that top 5 in the 4th position, holding off championship leader and champion Kenny Kibbe.
As you can see, technical issues popping up for a quick moment for Belke, but things continue to stay stable. Of note, Lowell Jules still in the pit lane. Donnie Moore did not make the start. 17 still running. And as talked about off the top, with Justin Morton not making the start to close out the season, Kenny Kibbe clinching the title for season 17. Looking for one more W. One driver in a bit of trouble. Todd Liston dropping back to 10th position amongst the shuffling, with Thunhorst already to 9th in the second pack.
He's got a little bit of a drive right now for him. And how about also J.R. Shepard and James Lowe? They are right there behind him, trying to keep up with Thunhorst as they work to the inside of Todd Liston in that 87 machine. J.R. Shepard's going to try to clear him into turn 3 and work his way through. James Lowe's going to try to fill the hole on the bottom of the racetrack, along with Adam Shane, who's going to try to keep pace with him as well.
Interestingly enough, for J.R. Shepard, one of, if not the first start for the 98 machine this season. A few times to start the campaign, J.R. Shepard was up in the broadcast booth for this series. He's been a multiple-time champion, remember, for Super Late Models.
He certainly has one of the winningest champions in all of BRL competition throughout its multiple different leagues. As we see Todd Liston get on the back bumper of James Lowe, cause a little bit of a checkup between him and Adam Shane down the back straightaway. And now these two competitors of J.R. Shepard and James Lowe now break into the top 11 now and set their sights on Matthew Thunhorst.
Up at the very front of the field, keep in mind, things still bumper to bumper for now. Separation last time around 0.2 of a second between Menda and Hardin. Strong job of the 45 and 44 to keep things stationed, but remember, past lap 20 was the major indicator of the tire fall last time out. Possibly here as well tonight.
It certainly is, as we watch these competitors work their way down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3 and 4. Your top 5 lined up nose to tail. Then you got to go about a second back to Kurt Smith, who's all by his lonesome for the most part, with Joseph Snyder and Michael Goodman making ground on him.
Goodman currently about 2 seconds back of the race leader. For reference, has about at least Snyder's half a second up the road nearly to get up to. You see this train continue to settle things out, Taylor, and the main thought has to be somebody has to make a move to take advantage of some of the fall-off we may be starting to see pop up here with some of the drivers already 0.3 off their fast laps.
They certainly are, and having a great run here as we see Brian Dean in the 23 machine holding on in that 3rd spot, working his way through off corner exit, keeping pace with them, and now holding off Austin Belke and Kenny Kibbe as they work back through turns 1 and 2. Noticing how they are trying to stay above that white line. There you see those little turtle shells right there that could cause a lot of problem for them, but so far everyone minding their P's and Q's as Belke's going to go to the outside of the racetrack. Here he's going to try to make it work on the outside lane. So far, not going to make it work. Kenny Kibbe sees an opening as Belke crosses over to the inside, but it's not close enough to make the pass.
Belke trying to go for the diamond line, not even make that work either as that checks up Kibbe. And that's one of the tough things here. Getting passes done, very critical to get to the bottom. You can make it work, though, if you pinch coming off of turn 4 and keep that outside groove.
He's trying to do everything in his power to make it work to get around Brian Dean and go and challenge for the race lead here, but not working out just quite yet as they work back down into turns 3 and 4. Gaggle of cars towards the back half of the top 10 as they head back into turns 1 and 2. This track here, you're absolutely flying under 19-second laps for your race leaders just about as they work on through, and we're already almost a quarter of the distance way through here tonight.
Right now, the top 6 separation about 1.5 seconds. Of note, Pack 2 heating up because Michael Goodman's lost the bottom. J.R. Shepard and James Lowe taking advantage. Thunhorst up to a race-high 8th for himself, +6. As well as Shepard and Lowe, all from the very back, all trying to go to the very front or amongst the fastest cars on the track at the moment.
They certainly are. Looking at the times, at 18.99 for J.R. Shepard, a 19.04 James Lowe last time by, but Matthew Thunhorse just plugging away with some of the fastest laps consistently here and really putting on a great show.
See that time differential compared to Thunhorse especially. Shepard's actually quicker than the 8 machine. Here's the tough thing, 0.6 the difference to the back bumper of the 8, to the front bumper of the 98 as you look on board with Shepard taking a bit of a different line. The asterisk on that, as you can see, Thunhorse has a lot of traffic. Kurt Smith, Joseph Snyder to deal with, and that is currently falling backwards from 5th on back.
Certainly is. Now as J.R. Shepard now working his way through, trying to make up some ground on his competition here in that 9th spot, keeping pace with Matthew Thunhorse, who is having a heck of a run here in that 8th position.
And that's not a surprise with Thunhorse, as we've seen all throughout the campaign, Taylor. This is his preferential car, and he's always been very fast when it comes to short track action. It's his expertise level. And when it comes to iRacing, a lot of his experience from this side of the platform.
Certainly is, and as they work their way through here, you see Thunhorse trying to keep pace. He finds an opening to catch up to Joseph Snyder as they work down the back straightaway, heading into turns 1 and 2. Snyder tries to send it to the inside of Kurt Smith. Not going to work, but Thunhorse looks to the inside. He has an opening down the back straightaway, not close enough to make it work. He's going to fall back into line now as they work through turns 3 and 4. There you're on board from the back cam of Joseph Snyder, trying to hold off the multiple-time winner this season, Matthew Thunhorse.
Here's a look from what they have on their iRacing rigs in particular for reference sakes. Matthew Thunhorse, you see that view from the visor cam in particular, looking to set things up along the 2nd line, trying to go for the diamond line. Before reaching this pack, he was up to 1.5 to 2/10 quicker than the 6th and the 39. The tough thing still, trying to get the pass done, still trying to use the 2nd line. That's allowed Shepard and Lowe to join the party.
Certainly is here as they work their way through the middle of turns 3 and 4. Snyder really putting the bumper on Kurt Smith that time by to try to get around him for the 6th spot. He'll look to the inside, not close enough, but now sends it in, shows the nose, but not able to complete the pass.
Near bumper contact with Snyder as he parks the bus on the bottom of the track. Snyder does not want to give this up and does not want to lose this groove. Again, this is the battle for 7th currently. Thunhorse has to be getting frustrated here.
He certainly does here, and this is going to cause some issues for Matthew Thunhorse because he's got a hungry J.R. Shepard and James Lowe right behind him as well, and they're going to get antsy as well, wanting to try to find that opening to get around and have an opportunity to go and compete.
Absolutely, but look at what's happening up the road. Kibbe has started to pry away at the bottom, and he's done so by prying Austin Belke from that line. Side by side for the top 5 spots. This is for 4th. Belke still giving that pinch, though, defensively. The top thing will be keeping this up. And there it is.
He's struggling right now as Kenny Kibbe just completes the pass on Belke. Belke's, though, going to try to cross over to the inside. Not close enough, though, to make it stick as Kibbe moves back into the P4 spot, trying now to see if he can find his way around Brian Dean to get into the podium spot. Meanwhile, Jason Menda having a strong run. He's pulled out about half a second over Jeffrey Harden.
Yeah, Harden right now still holding on to 2nd, would be his best finish of the season. In fact, in the past year. In this time's period for the Saturday nights. Kibbe, though, still looking to wheel it on forward and now up to that spot. Trouble, caution is out. It's in the 2nd pack. It's Joseph Snyder and Kurt Smith. Both of those drivers who are battling for 6th. On back, trying to hold off Thunhorse.
Damage to the nose of Snyder. Let's see what happened. Did the chrome horn come into play? Working down the back straightaway, you see Kurt Smith now have to take a higher line. Joseph Snyder sends it in. Yep, contact is made. The chrome horn comes into play, and Matt Thunhorse had nowhere to go, so he ends up punting Joseph Snyder into it. And, ooh, big contact for one other competitor as Kurt Smith tried to back out. Could not catch who that was.
Hard lick, I believe that was Ryan Saneker back there. Yes, indeed, the 19, who was in the battle with, at the time, Joe Segawa for about the top 14 or so. Here's a look at on board from the Michigan-based driver. Take a listen. Had no idea they were there.
Had no idea whatsoever. And of course, for Seneca, Ryan Seneca, speaking of, he is having not the best season. He currently sits 26 in the point standings. So not a night he was really looking forward to here tonight with that regards as we watch back on through the field. See here, we have a couple other championships. We have a tie for third between Thunhorse and Belky as well, which will be interesting to keep an eye on because they're both racing in here.
To correct you on that, that was coming into last time out. And then the difference was Thunhorse didn't make the last start. So that means Belky, as mentioned before, last time out, guaranteed third. But it is on, though, for fourth. Goodman, if he can pick things up, might be able to get in front of Thunhorse, but needs to outscore him by 5 spots. Looking at the replay here, is something going on with Joe Segawa. It appears here was already running to the inside here. What is going on in the 81 situation here? As you see him trying to roll to the bottom of the track, coming up to the pacing line. And apologies there, as either way, coming up towards halfway. But in that mark, Menda's been dominating. Here's the tough thing. Everyone's back packed together for the restart, Taylor, so that lead he had about half a second over Hardin, and then even more space back to everyone else, it's gone.
It certainly is, and that's so heartbreaking for Jason Menda, who is having such a good run here, but he can maybe try to see if he can do it again, and he needs to get a good restart over Hardin and keep these competitors behind him as the pace car pulls off, and we're about to go back at it here on lap 39 of 100.
Looking on board, this is Jason Menda trying to get the jump on first. Gets himself in through first, second, and third gear. Tire spin to the inside. Goes Brian Dean to the inside wall. Barney watches. Barney waits. Caution is out as there is the gear troubles once again coming up here at Myrtle Beach.
Tough break for Brian Dean, who's having such a good run this season and run tonight, running inside the top 5. Let's take a look and see what happens here.
And heard the mention of the gears. There it is.
Yeah, around he goes. He ends up going back on a gear. It gets all loose on him and not able to recontrol the car. And around it goes into the barriers. And now towards the back half of the field.
And a hard lick, too, to the car in likely fast repair territory as a result, possibly for the 23. It was amongst the top 5 all throughout that last run prior to the caution. That moves Kenny Gibby up to 3rd, Austin Belky to 4th, Matthew Thunhorse to 5th. Shepard, Lowe, and Goodman also move up in amongst that top 8 grouping. So re-rack them and stack them as we get things sorted back together. Keep in mind, next season is already knocking outside the front door. Because next week, the next campaign, season number 18 for the late models, for Supers, should say, goes to Nashville, Taylor, to start off a brand new campaign.
And how about this? Let's take a look at the schedule. We have, of course, Nashville and Hickory Motor Speedway. That'll be coming up for the month of June for the new season. We take a week off on Independence Day weekend, which is a great time for us to enjoy. Then we head to Lucas Oil Raceway, Five Flags, North Wilkesboro, Southern National, Oxford, Lanier, Martinsville, Langley, and then we come back to Myrtle Beach Speedway to round out the championship for season 18 on September the 10th. So a great opportunity for a lot of great racing this season. We're hoping a lot of people can come out and watch us here on the Virtual Grip Network, as well as if you want to have a chance to go compete, go and check out the BRL.
Absolutely. There's plenty of different series to be able to take part in. Of course, it takes a bit of experience with BRL competition to be able to make your way to Super Late Model competition, but plenty of different series to go through those ranks, Taylor. You have the Late Model series and the Tour Modifieds, for example, for their Season 19 and Season 7 campaigns, respectively, on Saturdays. Don't forget, on Friday nights, a very busy schedule is currently slated because you have the Dirt Street Stock Series starting off next Friday on the 17th, Season 12 for them. You have the Classic Cup Series for a mini-season amongst the schedule with the Truck Series, swapping back and forth on interchanging weeks or so. You have the SK Modifieds to be able to race in for Season 29 there. And don't forget about later on this year, the National Sprint Car Trail, which will be a major show to watch for where that is from September all the way to March in one of the biggest series in BRL competition history.
It's going to be very interesting to see that series come to play, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. We're hoping all of you can go and take a look at it, because that championship with these Silver Crown and dirt sprint cars, dirt midgets, asphalt sprint cars, it's going to be fun, exciting. They haven't released the schedule yet, but you can go and sign up on the bootlegracingligue.com website and have a chance to go and race these cars as we're back underway here.
Now taking the start of lap 45, Menda trying to roll the bottom. Already though, Kibbe looking for second, nearly clear. Arden drops back to third. He had been inside second spot since about lap 3 as contact. Thunhorse gets a bump from Austin Belke, holds on to it.
Austin Belke holds on for dear life here as they work their way through. Kenny Kibbe moves up to P2 as we see Matthew Thunhorse now. He wants to get back up towards the front of the field to his winning ways. We thought for a while, if it wasn't for him missing these races, he would be one of those championship competitors. As a big wiggle by one of the competitors, that's J.R. Shepard out of turn number 4, but is able to gather it back up as they work back into turn 1.
Still looking to move things ahead. J.R. Shepard, too, has a big buffer with all the stack-ups to get up to this fray. Belke underneath, Harden to try and recover some spots. There goes the drop for the Bakersfield, California-based driver. Tough break for Harden with the time of the cautions, but now Shepard looks to reel them in, coming up towards halfway. Now the battle could be on here in a moment for 5th position.
It certainly can, as we're riding on board with J.R. Shepard in that number 98 machine. Everyone's gone single file for the most part inside your top 10. Closest battle has to be for that 10 spot between Seneca and Adam Shane as they head back into turn 1, and then a little further back, it's just a gaggle of cars with Joe Segala in the mix of that as well.
Big bomb off Ryan Seneca. Into the wall goes Joe Segala, in fact, to the back grouping there. Still able to hold on to it in the battle with Michael Smith. Currently, that fight is for about 12th position. And you see the differences with some of the drivers with lines, some of them going very flat.
They certainly are, and as you ride on board with Joe Segala trying to get around the 73 of Michael Smith, they're taking a little bit of a different arc, you see the two competitors. One staying right up against that white line, trying to take the flatter surface. The others prefer the banked area of the track in order to try to build up some momentum to continue on racing here, and it's going to provide a little bit of different avenues of how the tire wear is going to affect, as well as handling. So we're going to see how this will affect as they continue racing on like this as we've crossed over that halfway point.
Just past halfway in this one. Here's a look now from onboard Michael Smith from the gyro cam. You see just how low some of the drivers are trying to get to stick to that white line, and in fact bumping the turtles. And you talked about how those inside curves can be dangerous. Remember, you hit them, you may blow a motor, especially if you're, say, in a street stock or a super late model we've seen in the past.
Yeah, these turtles are probably the most unforgiving turtles in all of iRacing. The only ones that I say that are close enough to it would be the Charlotte Road Course. Has to probably be the ones are just as unforgiving as well, but these ones were the original ones here as they continue to race their way through into the middle of turns 1 and 2. Single file pretty much all the way back to, I have to say, Michael Goodman in the 28 machine. So your top 9, single file, not really pressuring anybody.
Trouble for Michael Smith. Michael Smith dropping down the pylon from the top 14 back to 17th. 73, able to keep it going, though. A major slide, though. Able to keep it green. But you seen just moments ago, the lead is down to about a couple car lengths. Menda trying to play defense in front of Kenny Kibbe. Matthew Thunhorst is right there. Right now, 3 cars covered by half a second on the track.
3 cars, 3 seconds. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out here and working their way down the back straightaway, heading back into turn 3 and 4. Your top 3 now lined up nose to tail, keeping up with the battle. And as they work their way through, how about Jeffrey Harding trying to hold on to that final top 5? But he's got the multi-champion J.R. Shepard who gives a shove in the middle of turns 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. Shepard wants to break the top 5.
Able to hold on to it, though, is Harden. Harden a -4 so far. 3 of those spots lost throughout this run, coming up towards 40 laps to go. Here's a look on board from Shepard. Trying to set things up, and remember, Shepard's method when it comes to defending we've seen has been, okay, you want to make a pass? Try and get yourself around me and have to essentially work them into those spots. The difference comes to be in the terms of the attacking we've seen. As you see in the back, the attack is on for Snyder again underneath Sakawa for 12th.
It certainly is, as Snyder's trying to work his way back through the field after his incident early on, having now worked his way back into the 12th spot, trying to get around Seneca for 11th.
Lots of shuffling going on and a lot of movement, to say the very least. So a lot to consider with that race lead within about a paper's width of a car length from bumper to bumper. Here comes Kibby outside. Can't make it stick as Dunhorse tries to poke.
Dunhorst really trying to make it work this time as he is trying to get around Kenny Kibby, but not making it work at all, as Jason Mendez grinning from ear to ear because he knows if those two go to battle, he can start to pull away from this and continue on with his race lead.
Adam Shane up the racetrack and out of the groove into the marbles. We stay green. Shane dropping back to 15th, was running inside the top 11 prior to trouble in that second pack. And that's a major thing, that second pack. 5 seconds behind the race leaders with how heavy the battling has gotten and how busy it's gotten for that 10th spot on back tonight.
Yeah, it certainly is a little bit difficult here, and this is going to be so critical for some of these drivers to try and continue on because those tires are now really starting to wear off big time. Some of it times it's coming into play for some of them. Others, it's getting more difficult to drive these cars.
Right now, Shepard amongst those trying to figure out the chess match still we've seen throughout all this. Harden still with a solid run. Into the pit lane is Adam Shane. Shane has parked it. Shane done for the rest of the night. Down to 16 running to close the campaign out with under 40 to go.
Tough break for Adam Shane here to close out the season. We'll have to see what he can do next season as we get ready for the new one. But meanwhile, for Jason Menda, he's looking to try to close it on a good ending here for him, holding strong over Kenny Kibby.
Battle for the lead still on. Menda with a good run off of 2, gets some separation, and that's been the major thing. The race leader has been able to, in many cases with the cleaner air, dictate their defensive line. Dirty air is a factor with these super late models. It continues to play in. You look at the tower as they battle with under 35 to go. Menda still parking the bus on the entry. Kibby forced to back it up.
Kibby's trying to find that opening as you see him right there on the back bumper of Menda. Down the front straightaway, coming across the line, 66 laps completed. Coming now to 67 now as they work their way through the middle of turns 1 and 2. A little bit of a bump and go right there between the two competitors. Matthew Thunhorse watches on, ready to capitalize.
Menda a little bit tight to the entry through the exit. Paints the line. Kibby has a chance. Kibby's got a run. Menda sends it deep. Kibby sends it deeper. To the outside, Menda back to the inside, holds on for now, looking on board with Menda as he tries to hold on with the Hornet's Nest, starting to want to sting its bystanders. Kibby again to the outside, nearly gets to the quarter panel.
Kibby is really playing hard to get and really holding on for dear life as he tries to keep those two competitors behind him. One is the champion. Another is a multiple-time winner this season. These three are going to go at it, and here comes the multi-champion of J.R. Shepard in hot pursuit. As soon as he gets around Jeffrey Harden, watch out for him, but will he have enough time coming up now to just about 30 laps to go?
That's about a second and a half back still. Diamond line taken from Kibby, Thunhorse, and Austin Belke amongst this. And you mentioned some of the drivers in the wings having a chance. Here's the look from Belke's viewpoint. The Warren, Michigan-based driver sees the defensive line still. Thunhorst inside takes advantage of the move. There's what Menda's been waiting for. A fight for second near contact.
Here they go, and that gives him a little bit of breathing room over Kenny Kibby. Now about 0.2 of a second as they still do battle for that second spot. Thunhorst really putting the pressure on the champion.
You see on the pylon, Harden losing that spot as well to Shepard. Also making the move on the outside is James Lowe. Lots of shuffling coming up to the final 25 laps. High line once again for Kibby, trying to figure out a run. Thunhorse not able to pounce yet. Kibby trying to use the banking as a
run. 3 and 4, one car around. That's Jeffrey Harden.
Caution is out as cars scatter all over. And we're under yellow once more. Harden already taking the tow. And what a heartbreak for Harden. Top 8 all night until now.
Yeah, a tough break for him indeed as we take a look at the replay to see what happens. I wonder if it's some contact between him and James Lowe into turn 3 and 4. Yes,
Yep.
indeed. There's the bumper utilized. Jeffrey Harden hits the inside pit wall and has to wait a few minutes and then gets another bit of
Oh,
contact from Joseph Snyder. Unfortunate for him as well, as Harden disconnects, takes it behind the wall. His night is done.
surprised Harden parking it there, but we've seen Harden battle for the inversion spots in the past. Remember, Lowe was trying the outside line for a few moments prior to that caution, Taylor, and it seems like that line obviously didn't work in 1 and 2, and then it escalated, as we see.
Certainly did. Let's ride on board with James Lowe as he sends it in, takes a little bit of a groove, and then possibly a little bit of checkup maybe for Harden as he saw A.R. Shepard come down on him, which then allowed the contact to happen between him and James Lowe.
And the tough thing on all that is Harden might have been okay, had no damage, and then Snyder made contact in the same situation we've seen with Ryan Seneca. And so that brings us to caution with 25 to go this time by. Well, that race lead got very much more interesting with this yellow now, Taylor.
It certainly has, as another car is also taking it behind the wall, Adam Shane. But yes, back to that point, with this caution here, with less than 25 laps to go, we now will see what we can see of Kenny Kibbe. Can he utilize the outside lane to make it stick to get around Jason Menda? He's going to have to deal with Matthew Thunhorse on the inside lane, who's really been putting the pressure on him this time here in this run. So keep an eye and see what he can do.
The tough thing on this, Taylor, is that Menda's been able to keep his competitors guessing. But this is the first time on the restart it will be Kibbe to his outside. How do you play this if you're Menda to try and keep them guessing?
You have to time your start here and the jump on this restart. You got to mix it up a little bit. Maybe go a little earlier, maybe go a little later, but you have to be careful and play a little bit of head games. Maybe try to start a little bit before Kenny Kibbe and maybe give him a little bit of a jump to where he has to back up because you can't pass a leader on these restarts.
Restart coming up with 23 laps to go to reset your top 8. Menda, Kibbe, row 1. Thunhorst and Belke, row 2. Shepard and Lowe, row 3. Goodman and Liston, row 4, to battle for the final inversion spots. Snyder and Seneca, the first ones out of those positions currently. Coming up to the restart. Menda in control of the pack, has led a majority of the way. Can he keep it up with the pressure on? Green flag is out. Good start for Menda. Poor one for Kibbe. Thunhorst looking to jump to second. Tries to hold it on the bottom as Kibbe drives it up to the second line. Thunhorst nearly clear.
Thunhorst really trying to make it work into the turn 3 and 4. Sends it in a little bit deeper, but Thunhorst can't quite make it stick. Here comes Kibbe on the outside. Jason Menda grinning from ear to ear. He can now start to pull away once again as here comes J.R. Shepard into 4th. He'll get around Belke.
The two different Path Motorsports machines settle it out. Thunhorst and Kibbe not so much. You see the current flashes. Keep in mind, those are the cars bottoming out, Taylor, with the rear and or front suspensions. At that moment, that could play a factor since Kibbe is seen on the onboards, has a bit of nose damage. Thunhorst a little bit cleaner on that bumper as he clears them. Nearly.
He will almost clear him down the back straightaway and now sends it in a little bit deeper through 3 and 4. But Kibbe is really making that outside lane work for him and able to hold strong to keep Thunhorst at least side by side with him. As Thunhorst sends it in deeper, almost collects Jason Menda that time. Great racing between these three competitors and throw in J.R. Shepard, 4-horse race for the race lead.
Near contact with Kibbe as Moore checking up on the bottom. Menda trying to park the bus, coming up to 19 to go. Thunhorst looking for the send. Menda slams the door. Menda slides the tires. Here comes Thunhorst for the race lead. The squeeze back from the 45. Kibbe waits on the outside. 2x2 for the top 4 spots. Thunhorst looking to take the race lead for the first time tonight. Menda holds on to the stripe.
It's going to get close and dicey. Thunhorst sends it in deeper. Will he be able to hold on? Not quite yet. There's a checkup. Menda drops back to second. Thunhorst, new race leader. And now Menda sends it in deep. A big checkup right there between competitors. James Lowe is nearly around.
James Lowe stuck at the bottom of the racetrack. Staying slow, we stay green. Big bubble you've seen for Menda as well. Dropping back. Kibbe looking to go outside to take advantage of the mistake. A massive lead for Thunhorst. The fight is on for second, but the gap for the lead is up to 0.6 as more contact for Menda to the inside wall.
Menda's going to start falling back now as he works down the back front straightaway here, as he will fall outside the top 10 after that. A tough break for your race leader at one point, who was so dominant during all of this up until now. But now for Matthew Thunhorst, he starts to do what he can and hold strong to the race lead. He has about a 0.7 of a second lead over Kenny Kibbe, your new champion.
What a battle, to say the least. Menda did not want to give that up easily. Menda is in the pit lane after that contact we referred to. Low just outside the inversion spots as well for the contact during that fight. But Thunhorst looking to set sail. Up to 0.8 the gap, turning 19 flats. About a 1/10 of a second quicker than everybody else inside the top 8.
He's doing what he needs to do. Matthew Thunhorst works back into turns 3 and 4, hitting his marks as he comes out of 4. He's going to stretch that lead out even more so over his competitors. Kibbe, Shepard as the cautions out.
It's Michael Smith, James Lowe, Todd Liston in particular spinning it around. Kurt Smith runs for the scene as we're back under yellow, and that is not what Thunhorst wanted to see.
It certainly is not, as we get notification that Jason Menda has taken it behind the wall, but so close. Let's take a look at this replay.
And this is in the midst of the Hornet's Nest, just outside the inversion spots at the top of the yellow. And Kurt Smith just trying to run the bottom at the time, and then there goes Liston as a parking lot forms.
Well, it's not a crowded parking lot, thank goodness, here at the beach, but they're able to get themselves going once again, and everyone now rejoins, stacked back up, and we'll go 2 by 2 here with a 10-lap shootout to the finish.
Not every parking lot is filled bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper 24/7. As you see Liston very loose through 3 and 4. Look, we bring us back under yellow for the biggest restart of the night. Question will be, who wins for the final time this season? Because it could be anybody in the top 5, to say the least. Thunhorst and Kibbe have fought a fair bit tonight. Shepard, bit of the dark horse here. He's up 12 and hasn't really been the battler. He's been the driver taking advantage of those, peeling away the spots, such as Thunhorst, to give him the bottom to take advantage.
Certainly is, and he has been the one who's kind of been quietly picking him up and putting him down, so we'll see if that changes any during the rest of this race here, as we're now at 9 laps to go. We should be getting the one to go next time by.
And keep in mind, Taylor, laps are of the urgency too, and our caution from this point forward may be within that point of no return if it's within 5 to go.
Certainly is, and that's going to be so critical. So these drivers need to try to be calm, cool, and collective. And of course, Kenny Kibbe, really, I mean, yes, you want to go for the win, but you also got to keep in mind that championship in play. Don't want to really wreck a race car on your championship unless you are really going to do it on the last lap and send it on in. But for Kenny Kibbe, he's a well-known veteran of the series. He'll know what to do in order to win this championship, which he's already done, but you want to do it in a proper way, I would have to say.
Exactly. That's a very important point that a lot of people in the BRL always talk about when it comes to this series. They want to do it cleanly and show respect to one another. The respect was shown as well, keep in mind, from Justin Morton, where he mentioned he was not at home for tonight's finale, Taylor. He already congratulated Kenny Kibbe for winning the championship for the hard-fought battle. Remember, Morton had to come back from one rough round early in the season, but unfortunately for him, just couldn't close it up before the finale, and then couldn't make the finale.
Yeah, tough break for him, but hopefully we'll see him return next season and come out even stronger for a chance to bring home a fight to Kenny Kibbe, as well as any other new competitors who work their way through the ranks here of the BRL Super Late Model Series.
31 starters this season, but now, this season comes down to 7 laps to decide it. Thunhorst and Kibbe on the front row. Shepard and Belke row 2. Green flag waiting up in the stand. Off and away we go. Tire spin for fifth on back. The top 3 look to settle it out. Shepard inside for second. Thunhorst using both lines to get the run as they battle hard for the final inversion spot of the season.
Here they go down the back straightaway heading into turn 3 and 4 as Joseph Snyder, who holds on to that 8th spot over Joe Segala as they work through 3 and 4. Contact and beating and banging here is happening all over the racetrack, but they're putting on a show.
especially in the battle as well for second. You see this fight on screen. Big checkup for Shepard with the pinch. That's been a common spot throughout the night. The squeeze coming off the corner. Bruce Pearson, James Little amongst those, bumping and banging in pack 2. Near contact with Goodman with Seneca. Where did he come from up to 5th? And more contact.
Seneca gets moved up the racetrack by Goodman. This now opens the door for Brian Dean to get back in the mix. He's now back in the 7th spot. What a drive for him. Can he make it up as they work down into turn 3 and 4? Out of turn number 4, it is going to be 5. Make it now 4 laps to go.
Inside the point of no return. Next caution ends the race. Thunhorse looking to close things out with the most wins of the season with 4. Kibbe looking to reel him in to try and tie it with 2 other competitors with 3 victories. Needing
Caution
a bit of
out.
luck. And there it is for Seneca. That may close the season.
I think it will close the season right here, right now, as we are just now under caution. Let's see what happened to Seneca.
And Seneca, remember, had to work his way all the way up, and 1 bobble is enough to bring the season to an end under caution.
How
What a
about
fight.
that?
How about that indeed again, Taylor?
Certainly is. Let's ride on board with Seneca to see what happened. I think he just got loose off corner exit and really just looped it around because I didn't see any contact between him and Brian Dean as they're hard into the pit wall and his night done for pretty much.
Coming up towards the white flag this moment or so, with Thunhorse looking to close things out for the victory. What a campaign for Thunhorse. It's a part-time run for the 8th this year, Taylor, and this season still comes out with the most victories out of the 11 race schedule. But as the white flag waves, the attention also has to go to the driver who picked up 2 victories and led the point standings most of the way. Kenny Kibbe, about half a mile and closing to a championship.
Yeah, what a performance by Kenny Kibbe as he works his way down the back straightaway for Thunhorse. He'll win the race, but for Kenny Kibbe, a champion. He took it when he started the race because of Justin Morton not able to race here tonight. But what a season for Kenny Kibbe. Mr. Consistency award has to go to him for his hard fight and also his finishing inside that top 5, that top 8 really, all season long.
The checker flag waves. Matthew Thunhorst wins at Myrtle Beach, while Kenny Kibbe wins the championship for Season 17 of the Bootleg Racing League Super Late Model Series presented by Gargamel's Kitchen.
What a drive. What a season here. And we're happy all of you were able to join us here on the Virtual Grit Network to see all of this great racing short track Saturday night action. And we hope to have you back with us next season for Season 18.
Thunhorst already making his way to the pit lane amongst the celebrations because with the victory, yes, it is victory 4, but the stage heads to Kibbe's court. Kenny Kibbe's first championship since 2020 Season 4 in the iRacing calendar when he won in the Grand National Series. It's his first Super Late Model Series championship, and when it comes to different series in BRL, his 3rd title, or 3rd series with the championship over the past 4 years.
Absolutely been a season for him, and he's looking forward to seeing what he can do for the rest of the season as he burns it down here at the front stretch on Myrtle Beach.
5th total championship for Kibbe as well as he burns it down indeed. Lots to talk about for him tonight. Unofficial race results coming up in just a moment here on VGN. Welcome back to tonight's coverage of the BRL's Super Late Model Series, presented by Gargamel's Kitchen. As we take a look at the unofficial race results, Matthew Thunhorse picks up win number 4 to close out the season. Kenny Kibbe closes out the championship with a P2 run behind him in the midst of a heavy and very busy battle for the lead all night. J.R. Shepard finishes in third in his first and only start of the season, with Austin Belke rounding out the top 4 in fourth. Michael Goodman finishes in fifth position in the 8-Ball Motorsports machine, with the privateers of Brian Dean and Joseph Snyder 6th and 7th. Finishing in the final inversion spot, Joe Segala secured the pole for next season's opener. James Lowe starts in 9th, finishes in 9th. Bruce Pearson finishes in 10th.
In 11th will be Michael Smith, followed by Kurt Smith in 12th, Todd List in 13th, with Ryan Seneker in the 14th position. Then the next following drivers are out of the race: Jason Menda, Jeffrey Harden, Adam Shane, and Lowell Jewell.
That's a look top to bottom at tonight's running order in what was a barn burner to close out Season 17 for the Super Late Model Series, presented by Gargamel's Kitchen, a food-grade nitrous oxide provider located in Denver, Colorado. Visit their office at 2045 South Valentia Street, or give them a call at 720-707-6178. It's time to give a call up to tonight's top runners. But first things first, why don't we go to the driver who finished second to start the night? The driver who clinched his first Super Late Model Series championship. Kenny Kibbe, you are a champion in the BRL for the first time since 2020, when you did so in the Grand National Series. You do it in the Super Late Models this time. How does it feel to win BRL Championship number 5 combined?
Yeah, it's great. We swept all 3 Saturday series this season, so that's one thing I've tried to do and haven't done yet in BRL, so that's a nice thing to check off the list. So yeah, it feels great. I mean, obviously there was quite a few heavy hitters that weren't around all season long, that were part-time or didn't show up at all, and so that kind of made things a little bit easier on us because we just showed up every week. But yeah, we still had to have good finishes and have good runs every week and get some wins, and so yeah, it feels great.
With that total you mentioned there with the earlier events for Saturday night, that 7 combined BRL championships, you mentioned big thing is being intense, of course, to score the points, but how would you describe the fights throughout the season? Because you didn't pick up the most victories, but you were amongst the most consistent out of the full-timers.
Yeah, I mean, we managed to, and especially in the super late models, I don't remember ever being spun out or anything like that. So just keeping it in the mix, when it came down to like race wins and podiums, some tracks I kind of had the speed, others I didn't, or it might have come down to a restart that either helped me or hurt me. But yeah, just to stay clean and just to be in the mix is going to usually get me like a top 5, and we managed to do that just about every week. So that helps. And then if you can have a solid finish every week, that prevents you from having to start way in the back of the pack next week. So yeah, consistency wins championships, and I kind of tried to epitomize that. Obviously tried to go for as many wins as possible. Probably didn't get as many as I would have wanted, but still got a few, and yeah, just try to run up front every single week.
So where do you go from here for next season? Because the next season is already within a week's time, in fact, for the next campaigns for Saturday nights and Friday nights.
Yeah, so I'll be definitely part-time next season on Saturdays. I'll actually be missing next week. I'm going to be a spectator at Berlin Raceway next week, so I'll miss that one, and I'll miss one in August for sure, and there'll probably be a few others that I'll miss as well. So yeah, championship's definitely up for grabs next season. I'll be running, but definitely on a part-time basis.
Similar case compared to your Grand National Championship, believe, as well, from 2020. Anyone you want to thank for your run tonight and your championship in the Super Late Models?
Yeah, just everybody at the Bootleg Racing League for coming together every week and putting on some awesome racing, and I can't wait to go back and watch the Virtual Grip Network broadcast of this one. That was a pretty crazy race at the end, and so thanks to everybody at VGN for everything they do. Gargamel's Kitchen for sponsoring our awesome series. everybody that likes to ride on board with me every week on Twitch and watch. And yeah, just a big shout out to the competitors. It's just a great group to be around.
Congratulations once again on the title run. Congratulations on the run overall tonight, Kenny. Congratulations on being Season 17's Super Late Model Series champion.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Kenny Kibbe, second tonight, but the champion for this season. Taylor Burris now standing by with Mr. EV, Matt Thunhorst, who leads the way in victories for Season 17.
And how about a finish for Matthew Thunhorst to steal one away? Matt, walk us through tonight and how your race felt, and also just climbing through the field and stealing this win away from Jason Menda.
Yeah, Taylor, I mean, definitely wasn't easy. You're starting from 14th, and I got kind of fortunate with, I mean, just kind of the way you could say all race was fortunate, whereas, yeah, I think Lowell got loose to the inside of me. That allowed me to get inside and kind of help fend JR off, and then I think me, him, and James were just kind of moving through the field up until that one caution happened, and got fortunate enough we all got woed down, and so we all just didn't pile into it there. And I mean, it was just, I kind of got lucky breaks, you know, and I just kept taking advantage of them. And, you know, we got down to, you know, I think it was like lap 80 or something, restart or something like that. But I kind of had an idea where Jason was starting on those restarts, and I was able to time him pretty well. It's almost kind of like when you sit there and watch another red light or at a four-way or something like that, and you know this one goes red and then you're going to go green. And so I got fortunate enough there to not be able to let Kenny slip in, and then I was just able to battle him side by side up and got to Jason. And yeah, I mean, I kind of figured some things out, was trying a new line all night, and it worked out here pretty well, and I just took care of my tires best I could, and they got down to the end. I had something for him still, despite having to work them to get up through the field.
That you collect the most wins of the season, but the question has to be, will you return next season for the full championship and try to challenge for a championship run?
We'll see. I'll try. I mean, it's a lot like the way this season went for me, where it's just, you know, a lot of real life things going on. I like to attend them all. It's just, you know, sometimes when you got real life, it gets in the way of this. But, you know, I was still glad to be able to race as much as I did and have as much fun I did with this season. And, you know, so we'll have to see. I mean, I'll try. I know next week, our next round's Nashville, right?
I believe it is correct.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll say with that one, then you'll probably see basically, I don't care if I have to basically drive my car through a flood. I'm doing that race no matter what, because I love Nashville to pieces. So I at least can tell you I'll make next week.
Well, that's good to know. Of course, that is Mr. EV, Matthew Thunhorst, to come home in the race win, as he will get the most wins this season. And we look forward to seeing him at the next round of the new season at the Nashville Fairgrounds. But Justin Prince has caught over with the multi-time champion and coming home third place here tonight, Mr. J.R. Shepard.
JR, first of all, welcome to Season 17 in the cockpit. Second of all, how does it feel to be on the podium after being in the broadcast booth to start the season?
A little bit of a surprise, Justin, to be honest with you. I haven't driven these cars in a long time, but learned a lot from being in the broadcast booth last week, and learned a little bit more tonight, but still have some ground to make up. These cars definitely drive a little bit different than I remember, but overall good night, and surprising to be on the podium myself, I think.
It seemed like a lot of heavy battling was going on in the midst of the Hornet's Nest in particular. About, well, every spot up the road it seemed throughout the night for you to get around. How would you describe that experience trying to sort out, to make moves throughout the night to get in position for the podium? Because it seemed like it was difficult at times.
Yeah, it was really difficult. So, you know, these cars get tight throughout the whole race. It just gets tighter and tighter. So the best chance you have to kind of make moves is early in the race. And I kind of got in the wrong line at the start of the race and lost some spots. And there was a couple other restarts where it happened too. So it's just a night of being patient, trying to save your equipment, save the tires as much as you can, and wait for somebody to kind of slip up a little bit and find your way by.
So now that you made the start to end off Season 17, how many do you plan for Season 18?
Oh, we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of stuff going on during the summer. Real life always comes into play, but definitely want to try to run as many races as I can next season, because it's it's always fun with these guys to race, and it's good to get back in the feel of it again.
Anyone want to thank for the run tonight?
Yeah, just thanks to the Bootleg Racing League for allowing us to do this on Fridays and Saturday nights, and to the title sponsor, Gargamel's Kitchen. They've been a great partner with us for several seasons, so enjoy having them on board. And thank you to my team, Different Path Motorsports, and of course you guys up in the booth with Virtual Grip Network. You guys do a great job and really make us look good, so appreciate it, guys.
Thank you very much once again, JR.
Hey, thank you.
That's the now 68-time BRL champion in series combined after this weekend's festivities. And that brings this season's slate of races to a close, Taylor. Your final thoughts on Season 17, where a lot of comers and goers, but in the end, it's the driver with the most consistency picking up the championship.
And that's what it boils down to. Consistency was the victor here tonight. And Kenny Kibbe was Mr. Consistency, racing inside the top 8 every single week, having a shot to win just about every single week. And he was able to come home with the championship. A stellar performance by him. Congratulations to also everybody who raced all season long, and Justin for all your hard work this season, as well as we get ready for it. Trevor, the man, the myth, the legend himself, producing all the great content.
And remember, if you want to learn more about how to take part in series such as this one, BRL's network of series, be sure to go to bootlegracingleague.com to be able to sort and search how to get your chance to be able to battle amongst the best of the best in the Super Late Model Series presented by Gargamel's Kitchen. With that, we'd like to thank you once more for tuning into tonight's action here at iRacing's virtual Myrtle Beach Speedway to close out Season 17 with the Barn Burner. I'd like to thank tonight's presenting sponsor in the series, presenting sponsor Gargamel's Kitchen, for all their support. Be sure to visit them at 2045 South Frontier Street in Denver, or give them a call at 720-707-6178. The next time the Super Late Model Series hits the track is to start the new series and its next season. Nashville, June the 18th. Coverage starts 9 p.m. Eastern here on VGN. And the next time action goes live on the Virtual Grip Network overall will be this upcoming Tuesday, where the PGRL gets to venture to wine country, Sonoma Raceway. How will things turn out? Check things out at 8:50 p.m. this upcoming Tuesday. But that, it's time to say goodbye. For my co-announcer Taylor Burris, for producer and Trevor Greenfield, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Congratulations to your Season 17 champion, Kenny Kibbe. He is your title winner for this campaign in the Bootleg Racing League and its Super Late Model Series, presented by Gargamel's Kitchen. This has been a production of the Virtual Grip Network.